LeBron James just made a decision that, without anyone saying it out loud, might have ruined what was left of his legacy. It wasn't a play on the court, it wasn't a game lost, it was a piece of paper, a little number, $52.6 million that he signed with a smile, while at the same time loudly complaining that his team doesn't have what it takes to win. And here's where the bomb drops. Jordan, at his most veteran stage when he owed nothing to anyone, did exactly the opposite. He accepted the minimum salary. He joined a team that didn't promise titles. Why? To give them financial breathing room so they could build a team around him, to keep competing like a hunting dog. 2 decisions, 2 career endings, 2 opposite mindsets, and the difference is so violent, so explicit that it becomes impossible to ignore, because when you look closely at that number, those 52 green bills LeBron locked in, what you see is not a contract. It's a funhouse mirror reflecting his legacy. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. What's wrong with wanting to earn what you deserve? Well, nothing. Unless you go around talking about winning at all costs. Jordan might have been missing his knees, but never his hunger. When he came back with the Washington Wizards, the guy already had 6 rings, 3 retirements behind him, a statue outside the United Center, and an entire generation that already saw him as a basketball god. He didn't need to come back, he didn't need to prove anything, but he came back anyway. Why? Because he never stopped wanting to win, he never stopped biting. And the craziest part, he came back earning rookie money, a veteran's minimum salary, like he was just another guy. While others were securing their millions, he lowered his own salary on purpose to free up cap space. He wanted the team to be able to sign more competitive players. He left room for the franchise. Who does that today? Michael Jordan didn't come back to coast to have a farewell tour to make teary social media posts. He came back to break his back. He played 82 games in a season at 40 years old. Even the air he breathed hurt, but he wasn't going to abandon the team, because to Jordan, basketball wasn't a personal brand. It was a war. And that shows you something very simple but very dark. Jordan wasn't obsessed with being remembered, he was obsessed with winning. And now let's jump to the present, to this version of LeBron, who at 40 years old says he wants to compete for a ring, but at the same time signs a contract that does exactly the opposite. How the hell do you explain that? $52.6 million, a third of the Lakers' salary cap, almost 35% of everything the franchise has to spend goes straight into his bank account. And meanwhile, what does he say? That he's frustrated, that the team isn't competitive, that there are no moves, that reinforcements aren't coming. Of course they're not coming, man. You backed them into a corner. How do you expect them to bring in big names if they can't even afford takeout? And on top of that, his agent, Rich Paul, came out and said that LeBron wants to compete for a championship, but understands that the Lakers are thinking about the future. A statement so lukewarm it gives you a fever. Because there's a difference between understanding the team and completely stopping it just to make sure you get one last massive paycheck. And look, no one's saying he doesn't deserve to get paid, but if you're a billionaire, if you're already a legend, if you're constantly talking about legacy and GOATs, then your actions matter too. Because LeBron didn't just sign that contract, he also spent his time whining about the lack of reinforcements. It's like setting the kitchen on fire and then complaining there's no dinner. And in that total contradiction, that's where his legacy starts to wobble. Because while Jordan took the bread out of his own mouth to feed the team, LeBron served himself caviar and left everyone else to make do with stale crackers. This is where things go from embarrassing to downright unforgivable. Because LeBron's contract isn't just a little number on an NBA Excel sheet, it's a chain that ties down the entire franchise. And the worst part, he knew it. He signed it with his eyes wide open, fully aware he was leaving the team gasping for air. Let me break it down for you. The projected salary cap for the 2025 to 2026 season is $154.6 million. LeBron is taking 52.6 of that. On his own, he's eating up 34% of the Lakers' total budget. And what does that mean? That the team can't use the full mid-level exception, they only qualify for the reduced version, $5.7 million. You know how much the full mid-level is? $14.1 million. That's a canyon. With $14 million, you can sign a solid starter, a decent big man, an elite defender. With $5.7, you get another Jackson Hayes, or worse. And all of this, why? Because LeBron didn't want to give up a single dollar. We're not talking charity here. Bobby Marks, NBA contract specialist, said something brutal. If LeBron had agreed to take $37 million instead of $52, the Lakers would have gained key flexibility to improve the roster. And $37 million, let's be clear, is not exactly starving. The choice was obvious, take more money or give the team some breathing room, and he chose the first. Then he sat down and complained that the team isn't built to compete. Come on, man. You can't fart in the elevator and then complain about the smell. This isn't an isolated case. It's not something only Jordan did. It's not a myth. It's a pattern, a dividing line between those who want to win and those who want to get paid. And every time a true champion had to choose, they chose winning. Tim Duncan, year 2012, he cut his salary from $21 million to $9.6. A massive drop. Why? So San Antonio could retain Danny Green, Patty Mills, Boris Dio, and build a team that ended up winning the title in 2014. That's a championship mindset. Dirk Nowitzki, the coldest German alive, but with more fire inside than most. When he was already a living legend in Dallas, he signed for $10 million over 2 years, turning down a $25 million option. That's an 80% pay cut. For what? To give the team breathing room, to leave a legacy, not just a fat bank account. And here's one closer to home. LeBron himself, back in 2010. When he joined Miami with Wade and Bosh, they all took pay cuts. Each one gave up $15 million so they could build a championship team. Result, 4 straight finals, 2 titles. So, what changed? What happened to the LeBron who put the team ahead of the contract? Maybe back when he wasn't a billionaire, he could think about rings. And now that he lacks nothing and he's playing it safe, I don't know. But what's clear is that the 2025 version isn't made of the same stuff as those champions. And as if all this weren't enough, the most bizarre part is that LeBron didn't just make the worst possible decision for his team, he also played the victim. As if he were somehow unrelated to the mess, as if he had nothing to do with it. Right after signing that $52 million contract, his camp started leaking that he was frustrated with the Lakers' lack of moves, that the team isn't ready to compete. Well, of course it's not ready. You left it in shambles, man. You suffocated it, you handcuffed it to a $5 million exception, and now expect it to compete with teams that actually have the flexibility to bring in talent. And while all that's happening, LeBron is playing another game, the media one, pressuring the staff, sending cryptic messages on social media, showing up at Cleveland games like, hey, I could leave, Constant tug of war, a billionaire's tantrum from someone who wants it all. The money, the ring, the control, and the legacy. And the darkest part is that the story doesn't add up, because if you really wanted to compete, you'd do what Jordan did, or Duncan, or Brady, or what you yourself did 15 years ago. If the team truly mattered to you, you wouldn't sign a ticking time bomb that leaves them with no tools to improve. But no. Today, LeBron prefers to cash the maximum check and then say with a straight face that he has a lot to think about. The same thing he said a few months ago, right after getting bounced in the first round. Yeah, LeBron, you do have a lot to think about. Because if this is the final year of your career, you're closing out your story with a massive contradiction. And not even the highest salary in NBA history can cover up that legacy. This is where the debate stops being about sports and becomes philosophical, because you can compare rings, points, triple doubles, whatever you want. But in the end, there's one thing that separates the Giants from those who are merely great, and it's how they act when they have nothing left to prove. Jordan came back at 38 after being the greatest, after retiring twice after securing his place in Olympus, and still he chose to return. But not for glory, not for the contract, not for fame. He came back to compete, to play, to teach. He sat with the young guys in the locker room, supported them, trained them, inspired them, and he did all of it earning a rookie salary. Did he win titles with the Wizards? No. Did that lower his value? Not even slightly. Because he showed the fire was still there, that he didn't care what people said, that if he was going to retire, he would do it with his shoes on, sweaty, bleeding, and fighting for a team that wasn't even a contender. Now look at LeBron, surrounded by doubt, by contradictions, signing a record-breaking contract while complaining that he can't compete, demanding everything, sacrificing nothing. And you know what the most ironic part is? That if he had made that one last sacrifice, if he had lowered his contract and let the team breathe, maybe he could have gone for ring number 5. Maybe he could have closed his career with a true epic, but he didn't. He chose the bag, he chose safety, he chose comfort over legacy, and that, my friend, doesn't make him less talented, but it does make him less immortal. For years, we obsessed over numbers, records, statistics, who's more efficient, who has more rings, who played more seasons, who never lost the finals. But today, I'm showing you a stat that doesn't fit in any spreadsheet, that won't show up on ESPN, that won't appear in flashy graphics on social media. A stat with no color, yet all the weight. One that isn't shouted, but leaves you speechless. Jordan, at 40 years old, took the minimum salary to help his team. LeBron, at 40 years old, asked for $52 million and left his team with no breathing room. That decision, that number, that quiet gesture says more than 1,000 highlights, because in the end, the real difference between Jordan and LeBron isn't in the points, it's in the priorities. So the next time someone tells you Jordan and LeBron are neck and neck in the debate, ask them this: who would you choose if your life depended on winning? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. This was Hoop Secrets, and I'll see you next time.